The journey to determine the language of ornamentation started by observing the process of traditional Thai textile making. As seen in this collage that I have prepared, each operation is mapped out in sequence to study the morphology from fiber, yarn to fabric. Through conceptual sketches, I began to illustrate multiple elements within the textile making process, deriving the qualities of its movement and form and translating them to lines and shapes. As I closely examined the sketches I have made, I began to notice the difference between the process and product of textile creation in the fact that the process was one founded on creating tension, rigidity, and tightness through pulling and pushing movements. In stark contrast, the product is evident in portraying fluidity, softness, and bendability, which is further explored through conceptual sketches. With the use of the relevant shapes and lines, the final ornament drawing manages to bridge the contrast within a process that focuses on tension and rigidity, with its end product which can be described as free-flowing, flexible, dynamic, and ever-changing. As a corresponding analog to the predetermined language of ornamentation, the building element is designed to portray the connection between two realms, hence the merging of two spheres to form a cylindrical pot. Through more experimental sketches, the cylinder is then further molded into its decagonal shape, in which panelization and flattening of the curved surfaces are able to facilitate the repetitive reflection of light and enable a kaleidoscopic function. To add towards the functionality of the building element as a window, mock-up models are made to create a mechanization similar to the twisting and bending movements of a weaving loom machine. This is then implemented to the window panels in order to ventilate its attaching building in a manner that reflects the process of textile making. From the language of ornamentation, the main and sub-elements are extracted and imprinted onto the surfaces of the decagonal pot. The final ornament building element is therefore named as kaleidospot, a skylighted window pot that portrays the bridging of two spherical realms. Through panelization, it has a kaleidoscopic function, purpose for the extraction of textile design patterns through the play of light and reflection. Steered by a reflect mechanism, its mobile panels are designed to adapt to the ventilation and lighting needs of the building it is contained within. The new ornament facade assembly was deliberated to be a reflection of the grammar of ornament, which focuses on the difference between the process and product of textile creation. By bridging the contrast between rigidity and fluidity, the new ornament facade assembly portrays a movement that blows up a collision between two forms. Therefore, the Palazzo Italia Milan Expo 2015 was chosen as a case study for the facade assembly based on three main reasons: its non-grade chaotic motion, compatibility to form, and environmental sustainability, since the concept for the project was based on textile and located in a green environment. The facade for the palazzo was based on the image of a petrified forest and combined both forms of straight and curved branches to surround its volumetric environment. I also conducted research on the materiality and functionality of the facade design in relation to its external environment. From there, the design of the ornament facade assembly was drafted out through conceptual sketches and raw models that were based on the idea of fluidity, rigidity, and the collision in between. Shapes and lines were derived from the surrounding edges of the mock-up model and replicated their various roles into the final model. Finally, mirror and glass panels were added to the sides of the strips in order for it to perform a structural and reflective function. The way in which the facade design was intended to be utilized inside the proposal is that it will be placed side by side to the ornament building element. The kaleidospot as a pair of rotatable fins that can be aligned to the direction of sunlight as the sun's position changes with time. Further on in its development, the facade will also perform a function that will assist the workability of the kaleidospot in its reflection of light and color through different angles. The facade is intended to demonstrate a function likened to a measuring and observing instrument of the different degrees of reflection, in a means to aid the workability of the kaleidoscope. This is achieved by having 5 main angles of folds in its surfaces, as well as to compare the effect of concavity and convexity on the reflection of light and color. When the mechanism of the kaleidoscope is worked, the user is able to gauge the angle and degree of reflection that is used to produce the pattern, and hence provide accurate results for its research. Various materials were looked into for the fabrication of the facade. However, the aluminum composite cladding panel was chosen since it is not only highly reflective and metallic, it is also very foldable and available in many colors. Following this, the construction assemblage was carefully thought out, as well as the methods that will enable the folding of the panels to various angles. Aside from demonstrating the collision between fluidity and rigidity, the final account of the completed facade is created to portray the unique texture and pattern of a piece of textile up close. The purpose of the new facade is also to envelop its building structure in a manner that inspires and encourages the textile creation and pattern activity within, as well as attract tourists around the site to its striking and moving form. Moving on to the schematic proposal for the Transdisciplinary Craft Center, I started to study the context and potential programs that could be applied into the project site. For the site synthesis, I first identified the sun path over the proposed project site, since the source and direction of light is essential to aid the function of the kaleidoscope in creating patterns through the reflection of light. I also identified the wind intensity and direction that will steer the ventilating panels of the kaleidoscope. With that, I pinned the main assembly points that will draw in human traffic from 3 directions. Firstly, the Bangkrachao Pier that welcomes tourists from opposite shores of the island. Secondly, the crossroads in front of the bicycle sheds. And lastly, a neighboring Puntara Botanic Home that could serve as an accommodation for visiting lecturers and students for the textile design program. With these points pinned, the proposed site massing branches into the core of the project site like the buttress roots of a tree, since it is also rooted in both soil and water like the plant. Then, I proceeded to look into the site opportunities as well as issues of Bangkrachao, and realized that there were neighboring educational institutions on its opposite shores in the town of Bangkok. Besides that, the island's connection to a water body provides an interesting site for a playful fun program, aside from its abundance of beautiful natural elements. However, Bangkrachao has a disproportionate tourist program that focuses on physical and recreational activities, leaving Thailand's beautiful traditions to be sidelined. The site also has a lot more elderly residents than young, which poses a threat to its future development and flooding issues at the riverbank. Therefore, I am proposing to build an artisanal textile research center and program. The intention of the proposed building will be predominantly to incubate, fabricate, educate, and propagate. Firstly, the design ornament will be utilized as a medium for pattern extraction through the various reflections of light and color that it provides for its external and natural environment of Bangkrachao. The patterns are then extracted, studied, and integrated into textile designs manufactured within the labs provided. This research process will also actively involve university students from the neighboring universities around the island of Bangkrachao, providing labs and classrooms for the local youth to further explore the possibilities of Thai textiles. These designs will then be fabricated with the help of the local villagers in a weaving workshop. The manufactured textile products will then be used to educate the community of Bangkrachao, especially its visiting international tourists about Thai textiles via a depository or museum gallery in which they will be beautifully displayed in the form of installations. Lastly, the project will also utilize the status of its site as a popular tourist destination to propagate the different fabrics produced to generate income for its local community, as well as to raise funds for the continuation of its research activities. With the above intentions in mind, the programmatic diagram for the project is mapped out to determine the flow and interweaving elements or activities that will take place. Based on the program, the necessary places are listed to fit the entailment of its activity and target users. From there, I started to look into strategies that would be able to integrate the program with the site. Firstly, the unique function of the collider spot that captures pattern from its surrounding nature to collaborate with tertiary students in creating a textile design and research program. Secondly, a river market and galleria will incorporate the connecting water body of Chao Phraya River to create an internal channel in which tourists can experience traditional Thai culture of textile creation as they boat through textiles that move in rotation throughout the water channel. Lastly, the placement of wave turbines will be able to counter the problem of flooding by the riverbanks by forming a plumbing and energy generator system that uses wave energy to turn the spinning machines in the yarn spinnery. With the program planned out, initial sketches and digital masking are made to kickstart the form-making developments, with attention given to its internal spatial arrangement as well as relation to its external environment. As mentioned for the site synthesis, the concept for the project will be derived from the mangrove root structure that stretches out into water and soil. This was implemented having various root node points and roots stretching forth from these points. The form for this project is also taken from the substance and nature of textile, primarily the subject of stretchability. Two of these natures are then fused to create the overall form for the project as well as its wide openings and entrances, resulting in its final form development. The similar textile qualities are brought into the spatial qualities of the internal and open spaces of the project. The project is divided into four main spaces as per its design intentions. Firstly, an observatory holding the kiter spots is oriented towards the shore of the Chao Phraya River so as to capture the largest view of the surrounding nature. Here, users will make observations through the kiter spots and map out textile patterns that will be developed further. The observatory is then connected via a walkway to the Textile Design Institution, where the designs will be incubated simultaneously as a textile design program takes place. These curated designs are then taken to the block on the very left, much closer to the villagers' residences, where residents can weave the textile designs into actual fabrics in a workshop building. Underneath these spaces, the river waters are brought in through a U-shaped channel through which traveling boats and tourists can boat through and dock as they enjoy a visually and tangibly appealing experience of having multicolored fabrics move in rotation above their rides. This is the river market and galleria, where tourists can also purchase the different fabrics that are being showcased. On the left at the workshop building, wave turbines are installed to utilize the generated energy for the thread and yarn spinnery. All of these spaces are connected with an overhead bridge that stems from the river shore and branches into the different blocks via two piers and a center pier at the core of the project. Due to the limitations of buildable area, the Textile Design Institution is taken as the main focus of the design project. A huge lecture hall occupies the largest space within the institution, with its triangular fan-shaped arrangement that aids the delivery of sound for lecture showcase sessions. Two entrances lead into this hall, one from the bridge and one from the roads. From the same floor, users can access the textile library on the left and the student hangout area on the right, from which they can take the staircase up to the first floor. On the first floor, users will encounter several decagonal-shaped pods containing various classrooms, laboratories, and offices to facilitate the textile design program. Students get to experiment their designs in the color experimentation lab and the weaving and templating station. There is also a textile design studio that gives the students a co-working space. Outside the lecture hall, an instructor's office and a tutorial classroom provides a guidance and tutorial area between lecturers and students, while there is a separate discussion room for students to share their respective designs at the other end of the building. The open spaces and walkways that surround and connect the pods are covered with a tensile roof that reflects the stretchability of fabric and branching mangrove root structure so as to prevent the building from being covered completely. As for the pods, they are designed with attention to detail in the aspect of natural lighting. Therefore, they are shaped to have slanted skylights from 360 degrees. The facade assembly is placed all around the walls of the pods, to encourage the observation of light reflection and how it can create pattern and image. Ultimately, the intention of the design project and its Infuse program is to create a dynamic and creative space that empowers students to influence the local villagers as well as international tourists in cultivating a deeper cultural connection towards the art of traditional Thai textile. At the same time, the design project will be able to bring a positive impact to its allocated site by invigorating its future development with an energy that is youthful and creative. The following are some views of the proposed project to better understand the activities that will be contained within it. By implementing the facade assembly onto the pier and bridge, it is hoped that the users are able to enjoy a unique experience of observing the reflection of Bangkratra from different angles, while journeying towards the core of the project. The lecture hall is designed to be open and spacious, with a glazed skylight that lets in daylight when it's needed in sufficiency. And when dimness is needed to showcase a presentation on the slide screen clearly, a mechanism can be used to pull a drape of fabric over it. The river market and galleria is located underneath the first floor, from which fabric installations can be installed on its wide openings to create a stunning visual effect that draws tourists and villagers alike to operate the lively textile trading center. The color experimentation lab is filled with sufficient daylight from its slanting windows above so that users can observe and identify color to maximum accuracy and subsequently manipulate it for the design of textiles. On the ground floor, the textile library and archive is covered by a lofty roof and yet opens up to the first floor where users can observe and participate in research and archiving activities to improve their knowledge on textile design. The overall construction of the design project consists of curved roofs and curved walls, which are overcome by using aluminum cladding panels affixed onto structural framing and cement. The decagonal pods of the pier and other spaces in the institution are also strengthened with structural steel framing to hold up their dome-like form. Finally, please enjoy a short fly-through video of the Artisanal Textile Design Institution and Emporium.